All right, episode 3. We're done with the pilot, and we finally get to slice of life stuff. And surprisingly enough, this first episode, this first slice of life, first, this first slice of life episode is one of my favorites. I'm keeping that in. I don't care. Um, this is a really good episode, and it is such a good opposite side of the spectrum from the seriousness of the first two, of eternal night being a possibility and all this, to here is a problem that actually matters that isn't world or life threatening. Let's get into it. Episode 3 of Friendship is Magic starts with Applejack and Twilight harvesting apples. Twilight agreed to help her, and they get a message from the princess, from Princess Celestia, and it's 2 tickets to the Grand Galloping Gala. And this creates the entire issue or problem for the episode. Applejack immediately fantasizes about making a lot of money at the gala and how it would help her and her family. And at this point, Twilight is almost immediately going to ask Applejack to go. Like, she doesn't have much experience being a friend yet, but like, she's so kind that she's like, yeah, of course I'd take you, Applejack. But of course they get interrupted. So Rainbow Dash literally crashes in on them, and it's really funny that people say Rainbow Dash isn't a douchebag, because she totally is. And we get it as early as this. Applejack is like, you told me you were too busy to help me. And Rainbow Dash says, I was busy. And she's like napping. So she just didn't want to help. And she was sleeping. That's loyalty. Yo, loyalty, guys. That's what it is. Anyways, this is the whole catalyst for this episode even starting. They could have gone another route with it, I suppose, where like the girls found out in a different way. But if Rainbow wasn't here, Twilight would have just been like, hey, Applejack, let's go. And Applejack would have been happy, and I guess the other girls could have been jealous after that. But, like, since Rainbow Dash just immediately cuts in, Twilight doesn't agree to take anyone just yet. And that's an interesting way of doing it. But it makes Rainbow Dash look like a douchebag. Twilight says that whoever has the best reason for wanting to go, she'll give the other ticket to. And this is a funny problem because obviously they're all going to think their own problem is the best reason. And Twilight saying, oh, well, your reason is better than her reason, or her reason is better than your reason, is obviously going to create even more issues. So this is a really, really good look at how difficult friendship can be, especially on subjects like this. Because stuff like this, it does happen in friend groups. Twilight leaves and goes deeper into Ponyville to think about who she might give the tickets to, and her and Spike crash into Pinkie Pie, and Pinkie Pie fantasizes just like Rainbow Dash and Applejack did, and then Pinkie Pie just assumes that Twilight is inviting her. It's really weird. The pressure Twilight gets in this episode is something that the opposite side of the spectrum should consider, because like, obviously Twilight has a lot to think about in who she's going to take, but her friends should be a lot more considerate of her feelings and the pressure that they are putting on her. But yeah, this is a pretty decent lead into all of the girls obviously having their fantasies and whatnot. Rarity shows up next, and she fantasizes about blue blood, and she gets mad at Twilight because Pinkie just lies and says that Twilight's gonna take her, and it creates friction between Rarity and Twilight, which is not good because Pinkie shouldn't be doing that. But it's really funny when you consider where Rarity ends up. Obviously, well, not obviously, but like from looking at what was written, Faust wanted Rarity to be a mare that wanted to be married and have a husband, and then they were just like, oh no, we're not doing that, and Rarity ended up just being a businesswoman, which is weird because that is a far cry from the original thing we got here. So then Fluttershy shows up And Fluttershy doesn't even want to go to the gala. She wants to go to the garden where the gala is taking place. It's kind of like if your friend is going on vacation to like a place where a theme park is, and you don't really want to go to the theme park. You want to go to the restaurant that's by the theme park. So like these reasons are all pretty ludicrous. You have Applejack who wants to make money, which is crazy because it's a party and you don't sell things at parties. Rainbow Dash who wants to fraternize with the Wonderbolts, which, what do you think? They're going to be like, oh, we like you, be a Wonderbolt because you went to a party that they were at? Pinkie Pie who thinks the party is going to be a children's party. Rarity who wants to meet Blue Blood, who, I mean, I guess that's probably like possible, which, because she does meet Blue Blood. And then Fluttershy who wants to go to the gardens where the party is located. Not even where the party is located per se, because she goes and no one is where she is. They're all just really ridiculous. And the fact that Twilight entertains any of this shows the patience and kindness that Twilight actually has. The girls all start bickering over who should get to go to the gala with Twilight, and it's very well done. And it's funny because I'm currently reading the comics for the first time, and in the second issue, Chrysalis uses some changelings to trick the main six into fighting. And it feels so stupid and like unorganic. Like they've been friends for a while at that point, at least 2 years. And it doesn't feel like they'd be fighting like that, especially with how smart Twilight is and how close that you would be to other people at 2 years. And then like it's really sad because in like season 7 or season 8, I don't remember which, we get the Mean Six episode and they don't even know like each other well enough to know that they're not themselves. That's just an atrocious bit of writing. Here it's done well. Here it makes sense that they're fighting because they barely know each other. This is the start of their friendship. They don't know each other much at all. Yes, there's retcons later for Celestial Advice where Celestia says that they were friends. No, they weren't. They were not friends. They were never friends prior to Twilight coming to Ponyville. They knew of each other, but they weren't friends. And I'll show that more in the next episode, in the next one of these for no, not in the next one. There's two more away. But yeah, it feels really good here, especially since it's just they're fighting for a second and then they're done and it resolves fairly quickly. They all start kissing Twilight's butt, trying to get her to choose them to go with her. And of course it starts with Rainbow Dash because, I mean, it makes sense. Twilight's eating and Rainbow just creates she had to have created the storm clouds, right, herself, just to break open the sunlight directly for Twilight. Regardless, it doesn't work. Twilight is like, I'm not just going to pick you because you're doing something for me. And Rainbow gets irritated and leaves. But like, all of them do this stupid crap. It's pretty funny because like, again, they're barely friends, so it makes sense that stuff like this is barely happening. Yeah, I enjoy these scenes. Next to kiss Twilight's butt is Rarity. After Twilight gets drenched by Rainbow Dash just closing the clouds over her, Rarity takes Twilight to try and clean her up and give her a new dress and stuff. And obviously there's a tinge of we can look great at the party together at the gala, and Twilight isn't having any of that. We're also getting a running gag where Twilight's just hungry and she wants to eat, and she's gonna eat her sandwich in the first part, and when the rain falls on her it ruins her sandwich. And then this part she like gets clean and stuff, but she still hasn't eaten, so she's still hungry, and it continues on from here. So Twilight runs into Applejack, who has a whole cart full of desserts and food, and Twilight is still super hungry from that running gag. and it's this is a kind of a weird one because like Applejack is buttering up Twilight and she's like best friend and stuff, but she doesn't really talk about the gala too much. But it's like, oh, she's obviously trying to get her to butter up, So it's sucky because again, Twilight feels pressured and she leaves Applejack and doesn't get to eat anything still. So again, Twilight goes through a lot in this episode. It's all for gag purposes sake and it's pretty funny, but like in real situations, like friends do go through stuff like this and it's not fun. Fluttershy is next on the chopping block. She's cleaning the library with Angel, and I think Angel's making a salad. This scene is really funny because not Fluttershy, but Twilight is like offended a little bit, and she's like, "Not you too, Fluttershy. Don't tell me you're doing this just to get the tickets or whatever." And she's like, "Oh no, I'm not." And Angel looks at her all angry, and she's like, "Oh yes, I am only doing it for the tickets." That moment is really, really funny. This early Fluttershy is like really fun. Like the overly dramatic Fluttershy that's like incredibly scared that we get a little bit later in like Dragonshy is kind of much, but like I like this one who's kind of who listens to Angel a lot and is very, very, very gentle. I like this character a lot. Pinky's butt kiss is she kind of just pulls Twilight out of the library, and her and other ponies start tossing her into the air while Pinky's singing. She says like she's going to throw her a party, but like that hasn't happened yet. Also, this moment is hilarious. I love Twilight's just completely even Pinkies. They did this not kind of a lot, but they did this here and then in Griffin the Brush Off when she's just like, like Twilight early with Pinky is just like, yeah, I'll just this woman is way too energetic for me. I'll just be as calm as I can around her. It's really, really funny. I like it a lot. So most of Ponyville finds out that Twilight has tickets to the gala, and they all start offering her things and trying to get her to take them. We get a full-on Benny Hill chase scene with imitation Benny Hill music. That is quite the reference. I'm sure that the majority of you probably have no idea what that is. But yeah, quite the reference from Faust on that one, which is interesting. Finally, Twilight gets cornered, and she uses a spell. I guess she doesn't know which spell she's going to use. It's a desperation spell that she kind of just casts because this happens. Twilight teleports here, and I got some interesting information from a friend of mine in their thoughts on the episode. And they had written that it showed that Twilight had difficulty teleporting more than one person or more than just herself. And that's weird because that's not at all how I see this. Twilight wasn't even aiming to teleport because Spike says, "Tell me when you're going to do that next time." And Twilight says, "I didn't even know it was going to happen." So she wasn't even intending on teleporting. She was just casting a spell, or she wasn't even casting a spell. Just the stress of the situation was enough to have her teleport on instinct alone, which in both cases, if she was just casting a random spell and she got there, then it shows that she can cast it like just randomly on accident and do it, which would make it easy for her. Or she didn't even know she was going to do it and she teleported, which means even on instinct, a unicorn with sufficient mana will teleport away from situations that they don't want to be in, which also shows that teleportation is incredibly easy. I don't know why, and when I say incredibly easy, I don't mean incredibly easy for every unicorn. When I'm talking about teleportation, I'm always talking about the strongest unicorns, alicorns of the series. I'm talking about Celestia, I'm talking about Luna, I'm talking about Twilight, and I'm talking about Starlight. They, on instinct, and just with sufficient brain power, should always be teleporting in any urgent situation. For them not to be, like in the movie when they get blitzed, or on parts where Twilight gets blitzed by like freaking Cozy Glow. That's just stupid writing for the sake of stupid writing. They teleport very easily, and even here, third episode in, because Twilight did teleport against Moon on command when she ran at her. Here's a second teleport, and she showed that she could teleport someone else with her without even meaning to. So that whole debate about, oh, they forgot, or oh, teleportation is hard, or oh, not for Twilight or for Starlight or for either of the princesses. That's ridiculous. The rest of the main six are in the library already after Twilight shuts everything, and she freaks out because she still doesn't know who to pick, and it's really, really bothering her. And this is a really good message because it happens in Lesson 0 in Season 2 too. This isn't really a big deal. Taking your, one of your friends to a party and having to choose one or the others, it's not technically a big deal. Lives aren't going to end over it. Somebody's not going to die. Something's not, at stake super huge. That's even proven in Best Night Ever, when all of their gala nights are just not great or what they thought. But it shows that Twilight takes things very seriously, and it's important to her. And already at points like this, they're showing that she cares an incredible amount about her friends and what they want and what they don't want. And it just really shows how great of a character Twilight is. She's like I've said it before and I'll say it again. She's the embodiment of all of the elements. She is friendship, which friendship needs the qualities of all the other five. Friendship needs honesty, it needs loyalty, it needs laughter, it needs generosity, and it needs kindness. Those are the things that make up a friendship. And it's really cool that they're showing that for Twilight already this early. So anyways, the main six feel bad. Applejack is the first to apologize and say she doesn't need the ticket. Fluttershy joins Applejack in apologizing to Twilight. They both feel really bad about pressuring her, which makes sense because technically they were the ones who pressured Twilight the least. It really is unfair for Applejack because she was going to be asked first. Like I said, if Rainbow Dash wasn't there, Twilight would have immediately asked Applejack to go with her. Fluttershy kind of wants to go, but again, it's just to the garden, and it's kind of you could tell she's not man, I gotta go. Just, I'd really like to go to see the animals, so it makes sense for these two to be the first to apologize. Pinkie and Rarity are the next to apologize, and they obviously feel bad about what they did to Twilight, and their apologies make sense. Pinkie says something along the lines of, I don't like making my friends feel bad. And Rarity says it was unfair what I did, which is true. She tried to force Twilight to give her the ticket, and that's unfair as well. And everyone is fair here. Of course, everyone who is not a douchebag is fair here, because we all know what happens next. So we have Applejack apologizing for putting so much pressure on Twilight. We have Fluttershy for saying, I'm sorry for making you feel awful. No, she didn't say I'm sorry. She says, I feel awful that I made you feel so awful. So, two, focusing on Twilight and her feelings. Pinkie Pie says she doesn't like upsetting her friends, upsetting Twilight, again, focusing on Twilight. And Rarity says, it was unfair of me to try to force you, again, focusing on Twilight and how she was correct and Rarity was wrong. All of the friends are fair and make sense, and in their own way apologize. Rainbow Dash does not. This stupid douchebag, it blows my mind that people do not see that she is a douchebag. I like Rainbow Dash, but she is a douchebag. That's all there is to it. She celebrates as if she got the ticket, and then when everyone looks at her in disbelief, she doesn't say, I'm sorry, Twilight, for doing what I did. She doesn't say, well, I probably shouldn't have been so roundabout and try to block change the weather for she's not at fault. She says, I guess I haven't perfected my tricks yet. Not those exact words, but she says things along that line. And that doesn't focus on Twilight or her feelings. That doesn't focus on the fact that Rainbow Dash was wrong. It focuses just on, I'll just make an excuse as to why I don't want to go, which is because I guess I'm not, like, I haven't perfected my tricks yet. This pony is a douchebag. She is a douchebag from season 1, and she continues to be a douchebag in season 9. And that's fine if you like those characters. Just don't change the characters because you want to like a character that's not a douchebag. It's fine to like douchebags. There are douchebags that I like in shows all the time. Blitz in Hell of a Boss. I love Blitz. He's an interesting character. He's a douchebag. He is a douchebag. He does really messed up things. He's trying to make up for it, and he's getting a character arc and stuff, but he is a douchebag. Rainbow Dash is a douchebag. It's funny too, because people said in season 9, oh, the 1, 2, 3 great or whatever, the cheering episode, they were like, Rainbow Dash was out of character. No, she wasn't. Rainbow Dash has been like this since season 1. She has not grown since season 1. What Rainbow Dash does is she learns a lesson in an episode, and then she relearns that lesson over and over again. And the reason that works is because that is actually how some people are. Some people can't get it through their thick skulls, and they just repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again. It doesn't make them awful garbage, unless that thing that they're doing mistakes on is something that's awful garbage. But like with Rainbow here, it's just being a douchebag. She's a douche, and that's fine. She's a jerk, and that's her character. And she's exhibited it since literally episode 1. And we get the perfect moral of this story. Twilight says, if my friends can't all go, then I don't want to go either. And that is incredibly important for a friend group to understand. One of the issues that I've had with friend groups before is the very selfish friend groups. Because you're going to meet people with like varying degrees of income and whatnot. And some people don't have money, and some people do, and some people are willing to pay for other people, and some people won't. And what happens sometimes is, hey, let's go do this thing. Oh, what are we gonna do? Let's go to the movies, and then we'll go eat, and then we'll go to like play at like an arcade or like laser tag or something like that. And it's like, all right, bet. And it's like, okay, so the movie's gonna be like $10-15. The food's gonna be like $15, and then the like playing at the place will be like $15. You're looking at like $50 minimum. Like, cool, all right. And some friends don't have that, and the selfish friends will just be like, oh well, I don't care, we're gonna go do it anyways. And then that just kicks the friends that don't have that kind of money to the curb, and that really sucks. That's messed up. Because if you're going to do stuff with your friends, you should want to do stuff with all of your friends. You shouldn't just want to do stuff with your friends that have money. And we would always try to work things out in that way, especially after seeing this episode with the current friend group I had at the time. It was very much so like, all right, well, let's try to do things like we would try to eat at places that were cheaper instead of going to the more expensive restaurants. We would try to do things that everybody could participate in, and that's incredibly important. And this episode illustrates that so incredibly well. The issue, it's not an issue, but like the add-on to this is that it works out for all of them, and that's great that they all get to go, but a lot of the time you have to sacrifice and do something else because not everybody can do it. But still, for like a children's moral, this one is up there like very high. So yeah, they Celestia sends 6 more tickets. 5 more tickets? Yeah, 5, because there's 7 of them. And they all get to go to the gala and be miserable because life doesn't always live up to your expectations, and sometimes things that you think... Anyways, I'll talk about the episode when it comes. This one is incredible. That message really, really did a good job as far as... Again, I think the best part of MLP, like that makes it so special, is the morals that it teaches. And this episode was early that it's so incredibly important to be what is that word? Empathetic to your friends and understand that not everyone can do everything all the time, and that if you truly care about your friends and you want to do things that are fun, you with them, you will try to do things that are fun with them. You won't just be like, I have $1,000 and I'm going to do this. If you guys can come, cool. If you can't, sucks to be you. It's a very, very selfish attitude, and don't get me wrong, you can do things by yourself too, but like the idea of like constantly neglecting one of your friends, or just being like, we're gonna do this, and if you're not there, like whatever, it does hurt people's feelings. I used to see that. I've seen that happen to other friends in the group, and it's happened to me for like, not for money purposes, but because of location and being unable to get to certain places and stuff. But this episode is incredibly good. For the first slice of life episode, it is perfect for the moral. I love this episode. I think that a lot of people should watch it to understand the way that friend group dynamics should work. And yeah, I love everything about this episode. I think it is great.